with Penina Malonza. Penina Malonza happens to my county, Honorable Speaker. And this is a lady I know for many years. She was our first deputy governor of Kitui County. And is somebody we have interacted with. Honorable Speaker, the only omission, the only mistake, this nominee is being not approved by the committee is because she could not make a presentation. Honorable Speaker, I'm imagining one day, because we are talking about inclusion, I was questioning myself, if it happens that we get a nominee who will not be able to talk, or a nominee who cannot hear, facing some disability, the City Minister's House will not be able to approve that nominee because she can't present herself or he can't present himself. So, Honorable Speaker, for me, I think, really, we can't accept these double standards. And that's why I was somehow also not very happy with the way the motion was being moved, because it's like my friend, Majority Leader Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, was moving the motion, but at the same time, trying to move it in an amended form, which was not telling the House that I'm moving in an amended form. So, Honorable Speaker, I would want to recommend this way. As we approach to the date of 14, which is tomorrow, Honorable Speaker, I think we need to have this motion amended to read as follows: that this House do approve all the names as presented by the committee, including Honorable Penina Malonza. That is my prayer, Honorable Speaker. And if we do that way, we will have done justice to this country, so that at the end of the day, we don't seem to disadvantage any of the nominees because of reasons which, from my assessment, don't seem to be strong enough to really reject a nominee. So, Honorable Speaker, as I end, I want to say this, Honorable Speaker, that I want to plead with my colleagues who are in the House and those who will be in the House tomorrow, that when the time comes for voting, let's rise to the occasion, honorable members, and make sure that we approve this nominee who happens to be Honorable Penina Malonza, and who has all the technical qualification in terms of academic qualification, who seems to have worked in many organizations. And to make things worse even, Honorable Speaker, you will read the report. Honorable Penina Malonza has been awarded in this country an award called OGW. Honorable Speaker, I don't know how many members here have that award, OGW, awarded by the President of the country. If we were asked to raise our hands, there will be very few. So I'm asking myself, whoever decided to award this lady, honorable lady, that award, was that person blind? That person could not see that this lady has what it takes to work for this country and serve the public to the best of our knowledge and ability. Honorable members, I once more plead with you that come tomorrow, we are going to approve this lady so that she joins the rest of the nominees, and we have a cabinet which can start working for Kenyans. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I submit. Thank you very much.
Member for Laikipia, Honorable Jane Kagiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this special motion. Madam Speaker, allow me to start by congratulating the appointment committee for a great job that they did and a noble job to the country and to this honorable House. Madam Speaker, I'll also congratulate all the 24 nominees, because it's not a small feat that they were nominated in the midst of more than 57 million Kenyans. Madam Speaker, I support the report from the committee, but with an exception on the rejection of the approval of Honorable Penina Malonza. Madam Speaker, I look at Honorable Penina Malonza as an honorable lady who has grown through the process for her to get where she is today. Madam Speaker, let's remember, Honorable Penina Malonza is the first Cabinet Secretary nominee from Kitui South constituency. Madam Speaker, I have listened to those who have spoken before me as they narrated on her presentation and her articulation of the questions that she was asked. Madam Speaker, being a first from that constituency, we need to give her the credit that she has already achieved that feat. She had no predecessor to teach her or guide her on how to go through the process. Madam Speaker, I also continue to read a lot about Madam Penina Malonza, And I learned that she has been a deputy governor for 5 years, which of course was also achieved through hard work. Madam Speaker, it's also good to mention that having lost the position of deputy governor in the year 2017, Honorable Penina Malonza again vied for the position of woman representative in Kitui County. This, Madam Speaker, can only confirm that this is a determined soul we are talking about and a lady who is going to work for this country. Madam Speaker, away from politics, I looked at Penina Malonza's career progression. This is a lady who has grown from being a facilitator to a supervisor, to a senior supervisor, and eventually a director. Madam Speaker, thereon she goes to become a deputy governor, and when we look at her career progression, this is a lady who is destined for greatness. From deputy governor, I pray and I believe she'll now go into being a cabinet secretary. Madam Speaker, we look at a lady who holds a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, but she has gone ahead and applied to continue studying another master's degree. Madam Speaker, that talks of a willing learner and a lady who is even going to learn in her new position as the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. Madam Speaker, once in a while we are asked who your classmates were. It is good to confirm that Honorable Penina Malonza received her Order of Grand Warrior Award on the same day that I received mine. So I know she has done an honorable job to this country and she rightfully deserved the award. Madam Speaker, I also read of many acts of charity that Honorable Penina Malonza has done to her community. She has served orphans, she has served women, and Madam Speaker, anybody who lends to the poor lends to God. So let us believe that the prayers from these people are also what have gotten her to where she is today. Madam Speaker, I read on to hear that some of the issues Madam Penina Malonza had was that she could not articulate her answers in the questions she was asked. Madam Speaker, the biggest challenge we have in my community is in regards to human-wildlife conflict and compensation to those who have been affected by those issues. Madam Speaker, when Honorable Penina Malonza was asked that question, her answer was that she should engage the concerned committee to increase budget allocations for her to serve Kenya. That is the right answer that was expected, because whenever we have asked these questions, it is an answer of budget allocations. For me, that was the perfect answer that she should have given. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I wish this Honorable House takes its time to quickly approve the nominees so that this country gets on moving. The people out there are waiting for us to deliver on our promises, and I believe by us urgently approving the 24 nominees, the country can move on and we can be able to serve Kenyans as we promised them as we were campaigning. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity, and I believe it's an upward projection for Madam Penina Malonza. She now goes on to become a cabinet secretary. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I realize we have a lot of interest for this motion. If you are able to limit in our speaking, then more people would get the chance to speak. Give this chance to Honorable Dido Raso for SACCO.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And let me congratulate you for having appointed to the Speaker's panel. I was on the appointment committee, and I want to really be short in my presentation. First of all, the committee was well guided by the Speaker of the National Assembly. And I think he used his wisdom throughout our deliberation and throughout the vetting process for us to reach, as a committee, without any division, a conclusion that we were largely satisfied, although we were not happy 100%. Madam Speaker, the committee was guided by two documents: the Parliamentary Appointment Approval Act and also the Constitution. Those were the two cardinal documents that the committee was able to use and stick to it. So the outcome, as it were, we are hearing about Honorable Malonza, Linturi, also about Asha Juma. I will shortly talk about those three, but I want to confirm to this House that the large majority of almost 20 were able to satisfy the vetting committee. Like the soap opera, the whole vetting was conducted in the glare of public opinion. So whatever the committee was going to come out with, I think to an extent, even many of you who are following the vetting were able to discern that at this point the committee made the right judgment. Madam Speaker, the issue is about suitability and competence. Yes, there is the bit of education, there is the bit of gender, there is the bit of applicability to that job in terms of educational qualification. But the bottom line, the red tick in the box is, does this particular candidate satisfy for the job he or she had been assigned? I must thank the politicians and congratulate them, because 67% of those candidates who appeared before the committee were politicians, and they gave a sound account of themselves, relevant to the appointment, and also showing that they are able to understand the concerns to the people that they have represented for long. Some are senators, others are members of this august House. So for that reason, what we want from them, like the leader of majority said, and I want to agree with him, in the last government, there was a lot of hubris from cabinet secretaries, a lot of chest thumping from the cabinet secretaries. And if they know the powers of this House, I think they must humble themselves to the occasion, and they must humble themselves to the committees of this august House. I must add that we must also congratulate the President. It is my third term in this House, which comes from the great people of Saku. For the first time, these particular cabinet secretaries were almost handpicked and almost the right people to serve the people of Kenya. We have seen the cabinet in the 11th Parliament and also in the 12th Parliament. The difference is we were asking ourselves, who do we pass among these? But in this particular situation, we are faced with a very narrow margin of only 3. I want to talk about Asha Juma. She comes from the minority, marginalized, a lady whose background many of us will sympathize. Although many of us walked to school without shoes, we slept without eating food, but I think Asha Juma's climb to the top is a study in itself, that we must understand that how does somebody who got married when she was an underage, she dropped out of school, but she rose at some point, she was the head of Kilifi County Council as the chair. She became the women rep. She became a single constituency member of parliament. and then she ran for the governor. And she got 70,000 votes. Those are not few votes. Then we come to Mithika Linturi. Mithika Linturi also, he comes from a rural constituency. Although he appeared to have struggled as a hustler to make whatever he did, I think also his background is also meager. He came from a background where he needed a lot of support, where as a young boy he was a herder. So these particular cases that come before the committee makes the committee to deeply reflect on the individual cases. What some of us have said, and I want to say again, Parliament cannot be the judge and the jury. The committee is to give observation and recommendation to the House. The House can accept it, or the House can reject it. The House can modify the report, can amend it. That is the powers of this plenary, rather than the powers that is given to the committee. Finally, on Musalia Mudavadi, I think the President under the Act has the powers to construct his cabinet in the way he feels that I can run Kenya without any problem or in a way suitable to advance development and also the gains this country has achieved since independence. And for that reason, the order number 1 that had come out a few weeks back indicated clearly what is the role of the chief cabinet minister, so that there is no altercation with the job description of the deputy president. So for that reason, I think there is nothing that this House can see as conflict in terms of application of the DP and the chief cabinet secretary. Finally, it is my wish that the House can take time, study the report, and modify what we have given you as a committee, which had no division at all, but we carried it in magnanimity and without any division. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Samburu West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And since I have not spoken when you're on that chair, congratulations. And I just want to speak to a number of things since I sat on the appointment committee. Madam Speaker, I would like just to say a few things and to probably correct some of the aspersions that have been cast upon the committee. Under the chairmanship of Honorable Speaker, which he did a fantastic job to actually chair that committee, you wouldn't have known who is in the majority, who is in the minority. I believe because we were also even being vetted by Kenyans on how we conducted ourselves, we asked pertinent questions that touch on Kenyans, and we were from diverse counties and constituencies, and so the questions that we asked also reflected the various needs of Kenyans from across the country, Madam Speaker. It is then unfortunate for members to come and say that we were just playing politics, we were biased, or that even as minority, we are settling scores in this House. Madam Speaker, and I thank members of this House for approving us to go and sit in that vetting committee. When we present ourselves to run for office, we are vetted by the public. They know who we are, they know what we stand for, they decide whether you want them to represent them or not. And so the vetting takes place at the ballot. But when we are then presented as a committee to do our vetting, we give our opinion that this is what we think, having sat through long hours. We used to sit from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and you listen to each candidate. We look at the requirements, both the statutory requirements of whether you have the documentation and the things that are needed, and also whether you fit the office. And that is why we ask the questions. Otherwise, we would just then ask you whether you have the EACC document, you have the good conduct, actually degree is not even needed to be approved to be a cabinet secretary. But then we went ahead to ask the questions and to really question your suitability, Madam Speaker. And so I just want to ask the members as they debate that once we presented and we tabled this report, that was our opinion. You will have yours, and you will even have a bigger one because you will actually vote. And so it will be brought, it has been tabled, you will read it, you have read it. You can have a contrary opinion without casting any aspersions to the committee members. And also to my colleagues in the majority side. When now we had a unanimous decision. And now wanting to say it was from the minority side alone, that is also unfortunate because you can't table something and then also want to run away from it or to make us look like we're the bad ones and even make the women more bad because it's a woman on it. These are just our opinions, and you can have your opinion. And I think the majority whip, by thinking you're helping Honorable Malonza by bringing issues of her periods on this floor, you are actually making it worse because we didn't judge her on that. And I just want to tell you this. Those are not the things we were looking at. And you cannot also bring the issues when it becomes on issues to do with women to trivialize it, to become about our moods, our emotions, our periods, that day I didn't wake up on the right side of the bed, that's why I didn't answer the questions right. Actually, you are even making it worse. That maybe what we said in the committee, you're actually propagating it. And so when you discuss issues women, don't trivialize it. Don't go to that level. And that is just something that I wanted to say. Madam Speaker, thereof, I would like to present to this House that just apart from talking about the three nominees, you will have your opportunity to debate and even to cast your vote on what the committee thought about. But I just want to say quickly that one of the observations I also noted in the composition of the nominees is that there was no youth, there was no one who's under 35, and I believe that there are Kenyans, young people in this country, who can actually sit in the cabinet. We also have people living with disability who are, which is actually in our constitution, that when we constitute, different boards, positions, cabinet, I do hope that His Excellency the President will then consider people living with disability with the subsequent nominations in PSs and other positions in boards, and even the young people of this country. And since he didn't meet his promise when he signed the charter of 50-50 in gender, I hope then he can do it also in the subsequent nominations. But so that as I finalize, there are various issues, because it was not just about who has been approved, and it's also wrong to say that we just rejected as the minority some because they were politicians. We also approved some politicians. So, you can say what suits you, whether you're supporting or opposing. We also approved politicians as a committee. I want to say this, that there are a number of issues that are on this report and that we extensively asked questions about, and you could tell that there are things that Kenyans, because we were also receiving questions from Kenyans, and you can see the things that Kenyans are consistently concerned about. And one of them is the cost of living, and so that once the nominees are passed, and especially those in this house and sworn in, especially those that their docket touches on the economy, those that their dockets touch on food security in this country. We are facing a severe drought like no other. Probably, I'm told, that resembles one of the 80s. We are facing drought in this country, cost of living, the issues of youth in this country. We also have issues of corruption. Kenyans are really watching these nominees. Why we were asking what you're worth. We will be checking also as this parliament to see in the next 5 years what you have been able to get and how you've gotten it. And also issues of following the rule of law, not only when it suits you, but as something, and also the respect of the Constitution. And so as I conclude, for the nominees that will be passed in this house, the other reason why we were vetting you is that we will hold you to account to the things that you said to us, because you didn't just say it to that committee. We were sitting there on behalf of also all these members. So you were actually speaking to this parliament. You were also speaking to Kenyans, and you were speaking also to the international community, because this was really followed. Because when you're a CS, as one of my colleagues has said, you're not the PS. Yes, we agree, you're not the technocrat, but at least you should have a general knowledge and policy of that docket. At least shape, what are you telling us? What is your policy on this matter? And so, to the nominees who will be passed in this house, we will be holding you to account. We will be asking you to account to what you promised Kenyans during that vetting. Don't take it that it was just like a process. It's a process that we were just doing in this house. We have taken note of the promises that you've promised us that you will do. If you're approved by this house and you're sworn in, we will go back and ask you questions as a house, and even as we sit in our committees, to see to it that you live to it, and just so that you may never forget, it is an honor to serve this country in that position. Out of more than 50 million Kenyans, this house, if it approves you, just know that you shoulder a huge responsibility to serve this country diligently, and even to serve the president and the Kenya Kwanza, because they're the ones who have nominated, to make sure that they live to their expectations and to the promises that you made to Kenyans. If you said the Hustlers Fund is going to be without interest, please make sure it won't have interest. If you said you will bring the cost of unga down by 100 days, don't tell us you'll now do it after a year. Thank you very much.
County member for Marsabit.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to this very important debate on the approval of the nominees. As I start, I want to congratulate the committee for sitting the long hours and for vetting all the nominees, and for giving us a good recommendation whereby we can all debate on. I also want to congratulate the nominees, because I know they are representing the entire country. I know that they are all capable of doing that. And for Kenya Kwanza to nominate people who are responsible enough, who are qualified, and who we believe will be able to deliver. Madam Speaker, sometimes when we nominate people to different positions, the expectation is that they will serve the entire nation. Some of the areas we come from, like Marsabit, have not been privileged this time to get a CS. But I hope the nominees who are there, who will serve in different ministries, will serve all the areas equally and will be able to give their best to the country. I just want to say to the nominees that they are there on our behalf, on behalf of Kenya Kwanza, and on behalf of the parliament, and on behalf of the entire country. So our expectations are quite high, and as we all know, Kenya Kwanza as a government, we promised a lot to our people, and people's expectations is quite high. When we put again into consideration the situation that the country is in, whereby economically we are not doing well. The drought is affecting about 23 counties. People's wealth in terms of pastoralists, you know, the wealth that we have, our animals are dying, and we are even losing lives. A lot of attention needs to be given to that area. While even in this other part of the country, Kenyans have suffered economically. And so we need a big effort in order to transform the situation that we are in. And I believe that the ministers will be able, the cabinet secretaries will be able to be agents of transformation, whereby they'll be able to touch every life.
Order, members. The member for Marsabit, you'll have a balance of 7 minutes tomorrow morning when the motion resumes. Order, members. Honorable members, and the time being 7 p.m., this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 26th October 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
Would a bill be published during the said period, or a published bill become due for first reading during the period, the Speaker shall, upon lapse of at least 7 days following the publication of the bill, the fulfillment of the provisions of Article 110, subsection 3 of the Constitution, and following the determination that such bill is of priority, forthwith refer the bill to the relevant committee for consideration. That should any statutory instrument be transmitted for tabling before the House during the period, the Speaker shall, following a determination that the statutory instrument is of priority, forthwith refer the statutory instrument to the relevant committee for consideration. And also, should any paper be transmitted for tabling before the House during the period, the Speaker shall, following a determination that the paper is for priority, forthwith refer the paper to the relevant committee for consideration and cause the paper to be tabled in the House during its next sitting. And upon the submission and approval of the reports of the relevant committees on the vetting of nominees for appointment to the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission and the vetting of nominees for appointment to the Teacher Service Commission, the Speaker shall forthwith cause the reports to be circulated to all members in electronic form ahead of any special sittings of the House convened. Pursuant to the National Hospital Insurance Fund Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2021, and thereafter debate will resume on the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021. Other bills which have been lined up in the order of business this afternoon include the laws, the National Cohesion and Peace Building Bill, the Social Assistance Repeal Bill, and the Landlord and Tenant Bill, that is National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2021. There is a petition which will be presented in the House this afternoon. The subject of this petition is violation of the right to relevant education. This petition to be reported by the Speaker on behalf of Messrs. the Reid. Olumasai, Ian, and Alvin O. Mungeni, and the relevant committee will be the Departmental Committee on Education and Research. The members who will be asking questions this afternoon, among them the member for Kibra constituency, Honorable Bernard Okoth, the Honorable Member for Ijara, Honorable Sophia Noor, the Member for Embakasi West, Honorable George Theuri, the Member for Baringo Central, Honorable Joshua Kandie, the Member for Samburu North, Honorable Alois Lentoimaga, the Member for Magarini constituency, Honorable Michael Kingi, the Member for Gidunguri, Honorable Gabriel Kago, will also ask a question. This question will be directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, and Urban Development and Public Works. The Member for Bomet Central, Honorable Ronald Tundui, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Irrigation, and Sanitation 3 questions. The Member for Dagoretti North, Honorable Simba Rati, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning 3 questions as well. The Member for Suba South, Honorable John Mbadi, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government questions as well. If you're just joining us, the business of the National Assembly this afternoon is about to commence, and as soon as the Speaker, or the presiding Speaker this afternoon, as soon as I stepped into the chamber, I will hand you over for the live broadcast. The Member for Kibra constituency, Honorable Bernard Okoth, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development, and Public Works to provide the status of the ongoing construction of Ngong Road, Kungu Karumba, Langata Link Road in Nairobi City County. And could the Cabinet Secretary explain the reasons which led the initial contractor to abandon the project, and what is the names, address, and nationality of the new contractor? Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the steps that the ministry is taking to put to an end loss of lives and destruction of property occasioned by the construction of the said road? And could the Cabinet Secretary indicate when the construction of the said road is likely to be completed? The question by the Honourable Member for Kibra constituency will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honourable Justin Muturi, has stepped into the chambers, meaning that the business of the National Assembly can begin in earnest. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Edward Kabasam. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast. Good afternoon.
Honourable members, let's pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, who may be pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you are committed to our church. Amen. proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Honor members, standing order 2252B requires the Speaker to report to the House any petition other than those presented by a member. Further, Article 119 of the Constitution provides for the right of any person to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including petitioning the House to enact, amend, and/or repeal any legislation. In this regard, honourable members, I wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition signed by Messrs. David Okoti Olumasai of National ID number 31297235, Ian Nyaga Geshobi of National ID number 32416254, and Elvin Onyango Mangeni of National ID number 32744119, regarding violation of the right to relevant education and training by Egerton University. Honourable members, the petitioners recount that in 2014, Egerton University enrolled them to pursue Bachelor of Science, in brackets Water and Environmental Engineering, which they successfully completed and graduated in 2019. However, in the course of undertaking the course, the petitioners learned that the program had not been approved and accredited by Engineers Board of Kenya as required under Section 7, subsection 1, paragraph L of the Engineers Act of 2011. The petitioners aver that upon learning of the foregoing, they severally engaged the university between 2014 and 2019 to have the program approved and accredited before graduation. In the first instance, the university management undertook to have the program accredited by end of 2015, which the petitioners claimed it never happened. The petitioners would later be assured in 2016 that the Engineers Board of Kenya would carry out an accreditation inspection that would culminate in accreditation of the program at the university. Honourable members, the petitioners claim that the inspection never took place, and instead, in 2018, Egerton University management informed the petitioners that it had signed a memorandum of understanding with the Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, MMUST, to enable the petitioners to use engineering facilities at MMUST, which is accredited to offer the program. Further, the petitioners were required to undertake 8 remedial units so as to upgrade from the unaccredited program to the accredited Bachelor of Science, in brackets Civil and Environmental Engineering, as recommended by the Engineering Board of Kenya. Now, members, the petitioners are concerned that their efforts to have Egerton University management to facilitate them to upgrade to the accredited program in partnership with MMUST, as recommended by the Engineers Board of Kenya, never bore any fruit, leading to their graduation in 2019 with an unaccredited degree. Consequently, the petitioners have suffered the fate of being ineligible for registration as engineers and cannot therefore be employed to offer engineering professional services or work, given that Section 49 of the Engineers Act prohibits persons not registered with the Engineers Board of Kenya from practicing as engineers. Further, the petitioners cannot engage in private professional engineering practice since Section 50 of the Act provides that, and I quote, a person who is not registered as a professional engineer or firm shall not be entitled to submit engineering plans, surveys, drawings, schemes, proposals, reports, designs, or studies to any person or authority in Kenya, close the quotes. In view of the foregoing, the petitioners are aggrieved that the inaction by the Egerton University that led to them graduating with unaccredited degree certificates rendered them ineligible for registration as professional engineers and has fatally jeopardized their rights to relevant education and training, as well as access to employment under Article 55 of the Constitution. Honourable members, the petitioners therefore pray the National Assembly, through the Departmental Committee on Education and Research, 1, intervenes to ensure the management of Egerton University to immediately facilitate the petitioners to undertake the 8 remedial units necessary for them to upgrade from Bachelor of Science, Water and Environmental Engineering degree, which is not accredited, to the accredited Bachelor of Science, Civil and Environmental Engineering degree at no cost. 2, inquires into the circumstances under which the university continued to offer an accredited degree in Bachelor of Science, Water and Environmental Engineering, with a view to recommending immediate cessation of enrollment of students to the program. And 3, makes any other recommendations to the committee may deem fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. Honourable members, having determined that the matters raised by the petitioners are well within the authority of this House, I order that the pursuant the provisions of Standing Order 227(1), this petition be committed to the Departmental Committee on Education and Research. The committee is required to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and to the petitioners in accordance with Standing Order 227, subsection 2. I thank you. Comments, clarifications, no debates. Honorable Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I have interacted with you within and outside Parliament, and I have no doubt that with your leadership skill, progressive thinking, and your knowledge, vast knowledge on governance, when you become the president, these issues will be solved and these students will not be facing such problems, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and it is really a massive problem, and we need to address it surely. Because how can you take 4 years of your prime time or 5 years of your prime time, pay a lot of money to study a course that the university itself knows that is not accredited? Honorable Speaker, and this issue emanated from what we opposed when we were in the student leadership of parallel degree program, where they commercialize education in this country, Honorable Speaker. And I think this House must also address the issue of commercialization of education in this country, because it will solve these issues and these problems. The issue where when you have an A and you don't have money, you'll only be able to afford some very small courses like anthropology, Honorable Speaker. If you have a C and you add money, you can now study medicine, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, this issue can be solved, because what they have done is to try and, because they are commercial now, they have gone commercial now, they want now to, no, just a comment, I'm giving a comment. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Pukose is becoming a prefect in this House. Please control Honorable Pukose. We don't need a prefect inside this chamber. You know, and it's just a mono. Honorable Speaker, so to sum up, no, I'm finishing. So as a House, we should try to check